Welcome to Books Podcast. Join us for quick, insightful book reviews and summaries that inspire and inform. Don't forget to subscribe and never miss an episode. All right, so today we're going to dive into Taylor Adams's No Exit.
Okay.
This thriller throws you right into the action. With Darby Thorne, a college student on this desperate drive to see her sick mom.
Mm-hmm.
But a blizzard forces her to stop at this, remote rest stop.
Mm-hmm.
And she quickly realizes she's trapped with 4 strangers.
Right.
Oh, and did I mention one of them is a kidnapper?
Wow. Talk about a recipe for a nail-biting read. What's so clever about this setup is how Adams immediately establishes this sense of claustrophobia.
Yeah.
You're right there with Darby feeling the isolation of the blizzard and the tension of being stuck with these unknown people.
Exactly, and you get this immediate sense of danger, like anyone could be the villain.
Oh, yeah.
It's a situation that really makes you think, how well do we ever really know the people around us?
Exactly, and I think that's one of the central themes of No Exit.
Okay.
Trust who do you believe when everyone has something to hide?
Right.
And Darby, our protagonist, isn't some seasoned detective or action hero.
Right.
She's just a regular college student figuring things out as she goes, making mistakes along the way.
She's so relatable because of that, isn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, who hasn't made a bad decision under pressure? But what really struck me was Darby's, fierce determination to save the kidnapped child.
Right.
It makes you question, how far would you go to help someone in danger, even if it meant compromising your own morals?
That's the core dilemma she faces, and it's a question that kind of lingers long after you finish the book.
Yeah.
It forces you, the reader, to examine your own values and what you might be capable of in such a situation.
Wow.
And as Darby investigates, we meet the other characters.
Okay.
Ashley, for example, really stood out to me.
Oh, Ashley, he's got that charming, almost disarming personality that instantly puts you at ease, but there's this underlying sense of something being off.
Yes. It's like he's playing a role, always carefully calculating his next move. This makes him incredibly unsettling because you never quite know what's going on behind that friendly facade.
Right.
And it ties back to that theme of trust. Are we too quick to judge people based on first impressions?
Definitely. Adams does a fantastic job of making you constantly second-guess yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Just when you think you've figured someone out, a new detail emerges and it flips your whole perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the characters that create tension. It's the setting itself.
Yeah.
The blizzard is more than just a backdrop in No Exit.
Right.
It's almost like an additional character, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The way Adams describes the relentless snow, the biting wind, the isolation, you can practically feel the chill seeping through the pages.
Oh, wow.
The storm creates this suffocating atmosphere of fear and uncertainty.
And it forces the characters to confront their situation head on.
Yeah.
There's no escape, no calling for help.
Right.
They're completely cut off from the outside world, trapped in this pressure cooker with a kidnapper among them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a masterclass in using setting to enhance the suspense.
Right.
And what I find particularly interesting is how the blizzard mirrors the internal storms.
Oh.
Each character is they're all trapped,
Yeah.
both physically by the snow and emotionally by their secrets and fears.
It's like the storm becomes a metaphor for the pressure building inside the rest stop.
Right.
And speaking of pressure, let's talk about the pacing of this book.
Okay.
Adams doesn't let up for a second those short, sharp sentences.
Yeah.
The constant action, it's like you're holding your breath the entire time.
The pacing is phenomenal.
Right.
And it's one of the things that makes No Exit such a page-turner.
Yeah.
Each chapter ends with a cliffhanger, so you're constantly compelled to keep reading, desperate to know what happens next.
And then there are the twists.
Oh, my goodness.
The twists. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But there were moments where I literally gasped out loud.
Adams is a master of misdirection. He
Uh-huh.
plants these little clues early on, things you might not even notice on your first read. But then when the truth is revealed, it all clicks into place.
It's so satisfying when you can look back and see how he foreshadowed everything.
Right.
How those seemingly insignificant details were actually crucial to the plot.
Yeah.
Makes you want to go back and reread the book just to see all the hints you missed.
It's like he's challenging you to solve the puzzle alongside Darby.
Oh?
And what's brilliant is that the twists aren't just there for shock value.
Right.
They're integral to the story, revealing deeper layers of the character's motivations and the complexity of the situation.
Let's dive into one of those twists. Remember when Darby discovers
Oh, yeah.
that completely changed my perception of
Yeah.
it. Made me realize just how unreliable our own perceptions can be, especially in like a high-stress situation.
That's a perfect example of how Adams manipulates our expectations as readers.
Uh-huh.
We're so focused on trying to figure out who the kidnapper is
Right.
that we overlook subtle clues that point to something much more complex.
Yeah.
And the way he reveals the information through Darby's point of view makes it even more impactful. You experience that moment of realization right alongside her.
It's like he's pulling back the curtain layer by layer to reveal the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And each reveal just ratchets up the tension even further. It's
Uh-huh.
not just about the external danger.
Right.
It's about the internal struggle Darby faces as she grapples with what she's uncovered.
Exactly. And that internal struggle is what makes her such a compelling character.
Yeah.
She's not a perfect heroine. She makes mistakes.
Right.
She doubts herself. She gets scared. But she keeps fighting, driven by this fierce determination to save the child.
And that determination is what ultimately forces her to confront those gray areas of morality
Right.
we were talking about earlier. She has to make difficult choices, choices that challenge her own values and force her to question what she's willing to do to achieve her goal.
And that's what makes No Exit more than just a simple thriller.
Yeah.
It explores those universal themes of right and wrong, trust and betrayal, and the lengths we'll go to protect those we care about.
And let's not forget the other characters.
Oh, yeah.
They're not just there as plot devices. Even the supporting characters like Ed and Sandy
Mm-hmm.
feel fully developed with their own backstories, motivations, and secrets.
Adams gives each character a distinct voice and personality, which makes the interactions feel authentic and unpredictable.
Yeah.
You never quite know who to trust or what they'll do next.
Right.
And this unpredictability adds another layer of tension to the story.
It's like everyone is playing a game of chess,
Oh, yeah.
carefully calculating their moves and trying to anticipate the moves of others.
Mm-hmm.
And the stakes are incredibly high, not just freedom, but survival.
And through it all, Adams manages to weave in moments of dark humor and unexpected tenderness. These moments provide a brief respite from the relentless tension
Right.
and remind us that even in the bleakest of circumstances, there's still room for humanity and connection.
Those moments are crucial because they highlight the characters' vulnerabilities and make them feel even more real.
Yeah.
You see their fear, their desperation, their longing for connection.
Yeah.
It adds a layer of emotional depth to the story that goes beyond the simple thrill of the suspense.
Absolutely. It makes you care about these characters, even the ones who are making questionable choices. You understand their motivations, their fears, their flaws.
Right.
And that empathy makes the stakes feel even higher.
Speaking of stakes,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about that heart-stopping climax.
Oh, yeah.
Adams masterfully builds the tension to this incredible crescendo where everything comes to a head.
The climax is a roller coaster of emotions packed with action, twists, and reveals that leave you breathless.
Wow.
And it's all expertly choreographed with each action leading seamlessly into the next.
Uh-huh.
You're on the edge of your seat, desperate to know how it will all resolve.
And the resolution itself is both satisfying and thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It doesn't tie everything up in a neat little bow,
Mm.
but it feels earned, leaving you with a sense of closure while also raising questions about the nature of justice and the consequences of our actions.
It's an ending that stays with you long after you finish the book. You find yourself reflecting on the characters' choices, the moral dilemmas they faced,
Right.
and how you might have reacted in similar circumstances.
Before we wrap up this deep dive into No Exit, I want to touch on one final aspect that really stood out to me, the symbolism.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout this story, Adams uses subtle imagery and metaphors
Yeah.
to enhance the themes and characters.
Yes, that's a great point. The symbolism adds another layer of depth to the story.
Uh-huh.
For example, the blizzard itself can be seen as a symbol of isolation,
Right.
fear, and the unpredictable nature of fate.
And the rest, to stop this seemingly safe haven in the midst of the storm, becomes a microcosm of the larger world, a place where people from all walks of life are forced to confront their own darkness and make difficult choices.
And even the characters' names hold symbolic significance. Darby, for instance, suggests resilience and determination, while Ashley's name evokes a sense of deception and hidden danger.
Those subtle details enrich the reading experience and make you appreciate the thoughtfulness and artistry of Adams' writing.
It's clear that he put a lot of care into crafting this story,
Right.
and it shows in every aspect of the book, from the plot and characters to the setting and symbolism.
And that attention to detail is what elevates No Exit from a simple thriller to a truly captivating and thought-provoking read. So we've talked about like the twists and the suspense, the characters.
Yeah.
But what really stuck with me after finishing No Exit were those larger questions it raises about human nature.
Oh, yeah. It definitely goes beyond your typical thriller in that sense.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the choices you might make under extreme pressure.
Exactly. The situation Darby finds herself in forces her to confront like some uncomfortable truths about herself.
Right.
She has to ask, how far am I willing to go to save a life? And is it even possible to do the right thing when all your options seem morally gray?
That's something the book really digs into,
Yeah.
those gray areas of morality.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds us that real life isn't always black and white, hero versus villain.
Right.
Sometimes survival means making difficult choices that might even compromise your values.
And that's what makes Darby's journey so fascinating. She starts out with this idealistic view of the world,
Yeah.
but the events at the rest stop force her to question everything she believes in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she's forced to grow up in a matter of hours, facing a side of humanity most of us never have to.
And that's also where the theme of trust comes into play again.
Okay.
Not just trusting the people around her,
Right.
but trusting her own instincts, her own judgment. In this isolated environment, Darby has to rely on herself more than ever before.
It made me think about how often we place our trust in external sources,
Mm-hmm.
authority figures, social media, the news.
Yeah.
But what happens when those sources are unreliable?
Yeah.
Or when we're forced to make decisions without all the information?
Exit puts you right in that situation. You're trapped with Darby experiencing the events through her eyes, feeling that same sense of uncertainty and distrust.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, how would I react if I were in her shoes?
You're constantly second-guessing everyone, including yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things that makes No Exit so effective. It taps into those primal fears we all have about isolation, vulnerability, and the unknown.
It's a reminder that even in a world where we're constantly connected,
Yeah.
true isolation can be just a blizzard away, and when we're stripped of those external supports,
Right.
we're forced to confront who we really are and what we're truly capable of.
So to wrap things up, would you say No Exit is more than just a thrilling read? It's also a story that makes us question our own beliefs and consider how we might react when faced with unimaginable circumstances.
Absolutely. It's a story that stays with you long after you finish the last page, prompting you to think about the nature of trust, the complexities of morality,
Right.
and the strength of the human spirit when pushed to its limits.
Thanks for listening to Books Podcast. Enjoyed this episode. Subscribe and share with fellow book lovers.
Yeah,
Got a book suggestion? Let us know.
definitely.
Happy reading.